The eThekwini Metro has recently proposed a plan to regulate and localize Spaza shops run by foreign nationals. According to the Metro, the proposal aims to boost the local residents' ownership of shops in Durban. The proposals include a 20,000 rand grant as a startup. The Economic Development Portfolio Committee met yesterday to discuss this proposal. Let's now bring in the chairperson of the Economic Development and Tourism Committee in the KwaZulu-Natal legislature, that is Mafika Mndebele. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. Flowing from the meeting that happened yesterday, does this mean that this proposal will be going ahead?
Oh, definitely. Good morning to you and your listeners. First and foremost, allow us as a Portfolio Committee of Economic Development in KwaZulu-Natal to indicate that initiatives to support tuck shop or Spaza shop, as they are popularly known, is not and will not only be limited to eThekwini. The department which we support as a portfolio is having plans to roll out through a program called Zimele, initiative to support local Spaza shops. The first thing that needs to happen is that we want to encourage our people to go and register their tuck shops with their local municipalities. And then secondly, they should then apply to the Department of Economic Development for support. Support comes in different forms. The first one, of course, will be a startup capital of about 20,000 rand, where you are given a particular material which you are going to be able to use in your shop. But on top of that, we are partnering with Itala Bank to ensure that access to loan meant for stock, and then meant also for ensuring that we rebuild and revamp our tuck shop is accessible. On top of that, we are working with different sectors to ensure that we train our people in terms of financial management and how to best develop their businesses. And this assistance is open to all South African, even those above the age of 35, any South African who owns a tuck shop. As the government, we believe we should be able to come close and assist them, particularly because our research tells us that this becomes an anchor of the economy. In South Africa, there are about 150,000 tuck shops, generating over 173 billion a year. And this sector ought to be regulated because it will indeed boost our economy.
Okay, so does this mean that the plan has now been approved? That I guess now that you say that it's not only about eThekwini, but with the other municipalities as well. Does this mean that going forward now the government of KwaZulu-Natal has a plan where it wants to give 20,000 rand to tuck shop owners in KwaZulu-Natal?
Yes, of course, but this will be made in segment. The first part was open, I think, and it will be closed towards the end of this month, where about 500 tuck shops were approved. We are now in the process of then rolling out and giving them this particular assistance. But yet again, we will open another window transparently where our people will then again apply. But we encourage them to go and register. For example, eThekwini, only about 4,700 tuck shop had registered. And we do not believe that's the number that we have. So our people must go and register and then utilize this opportunity.
How much has the government set aside for all of this? I just did a rough calculation. For the 500 tuck shops, if you times that by 20,000, that brings us to around 10 million. So how much has government budgeted for this?
For now, I think that's the figure that we are dealing with, slightly above 10 million. But on top of that, remember, there are other initiatives that involve loans, and there are other initiatives that involve sitters and the training, and the other sitters, upon completing their training, they are able to also assist with an amount of about 15,000. So they are greater opportunity.
Okay, let's speak about the criteria. Who are the people who benefit or could benefit from this particular initiative? You also speak about the 20,000 Rand being used as a startup. Does this mean that somebody who wants to run a tuck shop, perhaps doesn't have a tuck shop as yet, could actually benefit from this?
For now, I think it is open to all South Africans. The requirement is that you must be a South African and you must be able to have a tuck shop in that regard. Because remember, we want to start by boosting those who are already in the sector. And probably and hopefully, as time goes by and as the resource permits, we'll then be able to open to those who want to start a new initiative. But for now, is to support those who are already in the business so that they are able to be competitive.
How do you verify if the person has a tuck shop or in how long the tuck shop has been operating for? Because I remember during COVID-19 as well, there was an initiative where government said that money will be going to various tuck shops. Some people actually defrauded the state of that money. So how do you ensure that the people that will be applying for these funds are actually people who deserve the money and have been operational for some time?
Yeah, definitely. We do need that. It's quite simple. Even on those who have applied, when we say 500 had been approved, it means before the approval, we are able to send the team of researchers to go on the ground to do physical inspection and then gather information, and then we then tie that information with what you have written down in your application.
Yeah, but again, how do you ensure that they don't defraud the system? Like I've said, during the height of COVID-19, this was an issue as well, where money was said to be made available to to tuck shops, and some of that money didn't actually end up with tuck shop owners.
No, what we do, one, there is an open process, transparent process where we issue alert when we open this, and then people apply. And then when you apply, you are going to give us the details about the business, how long has it been in operation, and fill all the necessary information. Upon completing that, then those documents will then come to a department. The department will then go peruse your particular document, peruse including your banking detail, how long have you been, for example, depositing money for business purposes. And then on top of that, we are going to send out people to do now physical verification on the field. And then these two reports will be able to tell us that indeed this business had been in operation for this particular period.
Okay. How do you think that this is going to benefit tuck shop owners to the extent where they are able to compete with foreign-owned tuck shops? Because pumping in money into the sector, I don't think that that's necessarily the answer, because if you look at the logistics that some of these foreign-owned tuck shops are using, it's far different to what an individual tuck shop owner, perhaps maybe in a township, is using, where they come together. This is now speaking about the foreign nationals, and they're able to buy at bulk prices. And sometimes, unfortunately, with locally owned tuck shops, you don't have that coordination. So how's this really going to ensure that local owned businesses are able to compete with the foreign owned tuck shops? The 20,000 Rand is going to run out at some point.
Yeah, no, listen, remember, we are not just giving a person a particular money. In this program, the first thing is that it is linked with Operation Vula, where they should be a bulk buying. And secondly, we work with a SITA for a particular business training. So we train, and then we will refer people to areas where they will be able to buy in bulk. But beyond that, there is a belief that foreign-owned businesses are successful solely because there is a bulk buying. But what we have now sort of discovered, and then that is why this program goes with a particular operation of ensuring that these tuck shops are registered, and then they are not selling counterfeit goods, because that's what we have seek to find out, that in reality, when you go down, the products that are sold in some of these tuck shops are indeed fake products. Some of these products are expired products, and as a result, as a government, we must intensify operations in township, and we must and will not be able to be successful to do that without working with our people. Our people must be able to expose this, direct us, indicate to us where there are areas where such is happening. And then when we discover that, we are going to close down those particular business and then give our people markets.
You mentioned Itala Bank a bit earlier on. We know the issues there with the bank. What role will the bank be playing in this? Because according to the decision by the FCSA, they're not allowed to take on new clients.
The Itala Bank is in operation. They might not be allowed to take a new client, but is in operation, and they are servicing their own client, and then the government will use it as already it is our partner and our entity for distribution purposes.
Yeah, but what role is Itala Bank going to play in all of this?
It's to distribute the funds in terms of ensuring that we buy food for our people.
Distribute the funds to who?
To big retailers, where we'll then be able to buy stock for about 20,000, and then that stock will be distributed to tuck shop owners.
So are you sure that all of these warehouses or distributors are actually banking with Itala? Again, I bring back the point that Itala is not allowed to...
They don't need to necessarily bank with Itala.
Yeah.
Itala needs to distribute. When we send money, the Itala needs to then transfer money to those entities.
So Itala is going to be transferring the money to those entities, without those entities having to have banking accounts with Itala?
They don't need necessarily to have a banking account with Itala.
Earlier on, I spoke about the budget. I said that the 500 tuck shops that have been approved, the tally comes to around 10 million. How much are you giving Itala Bank?
At this stage, I cannot be able to confirm a particular figure. I think it will rely or depend on the application that are put. But indeed, the government will set aside funds for this particular program.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Mafika Mndebele is the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Economic Development in KwaZulu-Natal's